Years ago when my husband and I became foster parents in the 80s, we were asked the question about what kinds of children we would accept into our home, and it included an array of different behavior challenges kids might have or disabilities they might have, and it included a question about race. And my husband and I were young and thought we knew everything, and obviously checked that we were open to any number of things, including parenting transracially. And we did that without really any significant knowledge on what exactly that would mean to be white parents to black children. But we knew that we wanted to be parents to children who needed parents to step in and care for them during the most difficult time in their lives. And so our hearts were in the right place, but our heads were not necessarily prepared for what we were taking on. And I think that's the case a lot of times with families who are well-meaning and step forward and want to help. And at that time, there hadn't been such an emphasis on finding appropriate resources within kids' own individual families and kinship networks as there is now. There was definitely an emphasis on getting kids into safe, appropriate fostering families, and less of an emphasis on getting them placed back with relatives and kin. And we've probably fostered transracially more than 100 children during that time, and adopted several children who are black or biracial, or children who are Latino, Latinx kids. And so we have a pretty wide variety of experiences in doing that as a white family that does that work. I would say that one of the blessings of that for me was the opportunity that it gave me to expand my own personal understanding of race and bias. In parenting my children, I got to experience from their eyes racism. Not a gift, but an opportunity. I'm a true believer that kids need families, and certainly being raised in our family was better than lingering in foster care and not being adopted. But if I could go back and do it again, I would have immersed myself far more significantly in making sure that their racial identity needs were met, and have done that in a much more thoughtful, planful way than we did. I think my children have had to struggle as young adults with their own racial identity and issues around that. And I think there were certainly circumstances with some of my black children where there were opportunities for them potentially to have been placed with members of their extended family or kinship network rather than growing up in our family, if at the time the system had recognized those opportunities and pursued them. And it's probably those things that makes me so passionate about pursuing those opportunities for kids coming into care now. I don't believe anyone should have to grow up with a stranger foster family unless there are really no options for them within their own family or extended kin network. And I believe that children have a right to grow up in a racially, culturally matched home if that's at all possible. Do I think kids should stay in foster care endlessly looking for something that isn't going to happen? No, I don't. But I do think that we have an obligation as a system to really look at what we can do to reduce the number of kids that have to come into care for issues that can be addressed with their families while they're still at home. And I think we bring a lot of kids into foster care for issues related to poverty, neglect, substance abuse, mental health issues of parents that could be addressed by our community if we work together within their homes and families without them needing to come into care. And I think we could do a much better job of making sure that when we do bring kids into care, we effectively prepare, train, and equip families when they must parent transracially to be able to do that job certainly better than I did, certainly better than most people of my generation did. We don't have enough black families for kids in foster care, and we do need to do a better job of recruiting those families. There are many, many ways to go about doing that, but creating a system that is more culturally responsive to the interests and needs of black families is a key factor. Dealing head-on with implicit and explicit bias is a factor. Recruiting through means that are appealing to black families is important. Certainly, traditional recruiting isn't necessarily going to effectively recruit families from Black communities. And then we need to do something overall as a system with regard to just increasing our ability to be responsive in ways that allow the Black community to build trust with us. Fortunately, we at Foster Adopt Connect are a private organization, so we have some capacity to do that. And we can be a step, unfair to the government, but we can be a step removed from the government and hopefully use our skills and talents to try to do a little bit more creative outreach in that way. And we should be doing that collectively across all of Missouri and Kansas. Again, it has to be a concerted effort, a thoughtful effort, and one that people choose to focus on in order to really try to remediate some of that problem.